Hello fellow audio nerds, I'm Steph, and this is Major Hi-Fi. The IEMs I have for you today are known for their extremely high quality. So whether or not you are interested in buying these earphones, or if you just love music and love audio, you will definitely appreciate the sound and the capabilities of these earphones. So let's go back in time, and I'll show you my first listen with the Fourte. Alright everybody, so let's take a look at the Fourte. Wow. Alright, so here obviously are the earphones. There's a carrying case here. It's like, yeah, made of like really hard plastic. You can see. There's a shirt clip right there and a little cleaning tool. And I like that it sort of can it sort of guides you with how to wrap it in there. But then, yeah, there are also a bunch of ear tips here. Neat. We've got foam and silicone. And then obviously then the earphones. Yeah, cool. Very simple, straightforward packaging, which I really like. I'm going to take the Fortes out and put some ear tips on them and take a little bit of a closer look here. Alright, so I put a couple of small ear tips on here, and just taking a closer look at these driver housings, they're pretty large, relatively, but I don't know, it's sort of like in the same range as a lot of other IEMs. And they are made of aluminum, so there's a little bit of weight there, but it's pretty light as well. And the actual design on here is gorgeous, and I don't really know how it comes across on the camera, but it's got this metallic copper here, and then this sort of design here just is really striking and pretty. Now the shapes of these actual driver housings, just doing a little bit of reading up on these, is because of an acoustic chamber in here that's basically specifically designed with the TIA drivers in mind. And there are 4 drivers in here, so the actual shape inside is sort of tuned to that. And the whole idea with the TIA drivers is that they're open balanced armatures, so it basically takes away the need for tubes, for tuning and that kind of thing, and that kind of helps avoid the buildup of resonances in those kind of tubes. So at least that's my very basic understanding of it, and I'm sure that if you poke around on the 64 Audio website, you can find out even more. The amount of research and development going into these earphones is pretty remarkable, and I'm sure that the sound will reflect that. Now you'll see that the cable, the kind of bundles of wires there are all individually insulated, and the connector seems really kind of hardcore. It's got this big kind of design and seems really sturdy and well designed. It's got a little bit of weight to it. And then, of course, over here you've got these, it's, a hook over the ear design, so these kind of it'll help bend the wire over your ear, and that feels good too. Although you'll notice maybe, I don't know if you can tell here, but the wire seems to be a little bit prone to kinking up, but overall it seems like a really great cable. And then the connector on this on the earpiece side is a 2-pin connector, so it won't fit your standard MMCX cable, but it does have the 2-pin. Yeah. Alright, so the Forte is in, and it's pretty comfortable. It actually took me a minute. I thought that the medium tips would work, but I ended up kind of falling out a little bit, so I went for the smalls, and they fit way better. So that's good. Pretty comfortable. The cable kind of hooks right behind the ear. And yeah, I'm excited to give these a listen and see what I think of the sound. So here we go. Oh man, the high frequencies are gorgeous. Gorgeous. I'm listening to the song Before We Turn to Dust by Sean Hayes, and the high frequencies are just so beautiful. There's a lot of extension, and so there's sort of this tambourine that goes on like throughout the song, and it just adds this like really pretty sparkly thing to that tambourine, makes the tambourine sound pretty. And then also his voice comes through in such a beautiful way. Sometimes his voice gets sort of like raspy a little bit, and these earphones really kind of bring a lot of that stuff out and makes it really like emotionally impactful actually. Man, the dynamics in the mid-range are awesome, really lively and active. There's so much clarity in the mid-range, and it sort of can come across as being like a little bit not full-bodied, but I don't know, maybe that's the wrong word though, because it's at the same time everything kind of has its own space. So yeah, I was listening to the song Drive by Oh Wonder, and there are these like wide synths and strings, and they're really mid-rangey, but they kind of live alongside each other with really like great separation that you definitely wouldn't hear without these. There's a sense of like real cleanliness in the mid-range that it's like so unclouded and so clear. It really, you can hear kind of everything. There's even like a piano in here in this song, and you can really get the sense that it all the detail that goes along with, you know, the hammers hitting the strings and everything. You can hear all that stuff. And that clarity makes the vocal sit a little bit higher in the mix than it would normally. Like, it sort of feels like there's this high mid emphasis that kind of makes a vocal sit above everything else. And I'm not sure if it's that or if it's like this extra clarity. It's kind of hard to put my finger on. But regardless, everything kind of has its own space, and therefore you can kind of hear everything in the song that's going on. So it kind of brings a level of complexity to the mid-range that you wouldn't necessarily have otherwise. The low frequencies on these are pretty modest, so it's not a bass head's earphone for sure. But you know, keeping that in mind, the lows are actually still really even. I was just listening to the song "Lock 'Em Up" by Mingus, and his bass still sounds realistic and like a bass. You know, it doesn't really feel uneven. Notes. Some notes don't stick out above others. It's really, yeah, just even. But it is quieter than it would be normally. So I guess take that for what it is and be aware of it if you're into something like this. I'd imagine these are really, really nice for classical. Wow. I was just listening to some Brahms, the Hungarian Dance Number 5 in G minor, and like, yeah, kind of how I was saying in that mid-range, how you get that like really this like complexity. It works so well with like a thick string arrangement because you get sort of all the attack and all the I don't know, it's hard to even really explain other than a sense of like thickness that's also really, really clear. Yeah, really, really great for that kind of genre. Man, the Soundstage sounds really big with these two, and I'm definitely going to listen on another deck as time goes on to sort of wrap my head around it. But I was just listening to Freedom at 21 by Jack White, and like the sense of room that you hear from the drums, the width of the guitars, it all just really feels spacious and like precise in the soundstage. So, and that's with just my phone's DAC. So I'm really excited to hear kind of the possibilities with this earphone. I think it's going to be really good. All right, everybody. I will meet up with you in the future, and let you know my final thoughts on these.
The high frequencies are airy and beautiful, and those high frequencies are also really even. At the same time, there's a quickness there, so transients come through with lots and lots of clarity. So if you're looking for clarity in your earphone sound signature, especially in the high end, you are really going to love the Tia Fourte. The mid-range is beautiful as well. It's detailed and it's lively. It can articulate long pads or staccato arpeggios with the same amount of precision and clarity. And in a general sense, the high mids feel a little bit emphasized or accented. Now, I'm not sure if that's, you know, a real like frequency curve boost, or if it's just, you know, my brain interprets it that way with the quickness of the transients and all the detail. Kind of hard to say, but regardless, vocals will tend to sit a little bit higher in the mix. The low frequencies are even, and like the rest of the frequency spectrum, it sort of responds quickly in the bass. Now, as a result, you'll really be able to hear the whole bass note. The thing, though, that you should keep in mind is that the low frequencies are a little bit quieter than other earphones, and than you might want. If you want something that has a lot of bass to it, you really won't like these earphones. But if you want something that has a really even, kind of realistic low end that isn't so much in your face at all and actually is a little bit subdued, you'll really, really like these ones. The Soundstage has a great sense of height, especially because of that high frequency extension I was talking about before. And you sort of get a sense of extension in all areas of this earphone. Like when things get really, really wide, you know, a guitar, for example, is panned all the way to the left or whatever, it really, really feels wide and on the side of your head. And I think as a result of that too, you really get a sense of depth. Now, I'm not sure if it's the cable, the transient response, how these things are all interrelated, but the Soundstage feels really big, and that's something that not a whole lot of earphones can really bring to the table, but these do a really great job with it. It sounds like a real sense of three-dimensionality that you get from these. The 64 Audio Tia Fourte is one of the best earphones I've ever heard. It's not for bass heads, but if you want something with a really, really beautiful mid-range and high-end, with a little bit of bass in there just to hold the foundation, I think you will really, really love these. They're especially good with classical music and jazz music, but they work really for any genre, so long as you can, so long as you have the knowledge of the bass situation going into it. Thank you everybody so much for watching. If you like this review, give it a thumbs up. And for more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. And for another perspective on the 64 Audio Tia Fourte, be sure to stop by the Major Hi-Fi blog. I'll leave a description in the link below. I'll leave a link in the description box below. Alright everybody, I'll see you next time. Bye.